In the eyes of the azure shadow, a strange light suddenly flickered. It raised its right hand, striking a pose reminiscent of a cultivator forming a technique. At the same time, its mouth slightly opened, as if it were about to make a sound. Instantly, all around the ground, enveloping every flower, grass, and tree, a massive amount of blue crystalline radiance began to emerge. In the blink of an eye, wherever one looked, a sea of brilliance unfolded. All of this occurred in rapid succession. When Wang Lin saw the azure shadow performing a cultivator's action, his eyes narrowed, and then quickly dulled as he disregarded the thrown spear, retreating immediately several dozen feet. Wang Lin's figure retreated, but the speed of the spear was faster than lightning, hurtling forward directly at the azure shadow. In this action of retreat and advance, a glint of curiosity appeared in Wang Lin's eyes. His hands formed techniques, and in the instant he retreated, various restriction combinations flashed through his mind. These combinations shimmered like unusual runes, linking together mysteriously before immediately scattering, only to reconnect anew. Yet, after several iterations, a few runes remained linked without separating, setting themselves aside. Upon closer inspection, one could find that there were already dozens of similar restriction runes stored in that location. This continuous linking, scattering, and relinking felt like a cycle, perpetually ongoing. To Wang Lin, this was a process of deduction. This deduction had actually begun the very moment he laid eyes on the ancient formation while sitting cross-legged. What Wang Lin had learned was not an ordinary restriction technique, but rather the ancient methods from the land of the ancient gods, a technique so ancient that even ancient cultivators merely grasped it without creating it themselves. 57. I need to continue, Wang Lin said, his gaze sharpening. The restriction chi spear raced toward the azure shadow, and in mere moments after Wang Lin retreated a few feet, the spear was already within 10 feet of the azure shadow. Its speed caused a whistling sound as it cut through the air, and the gale it stirred rushed forward, crashing into the azure shadow. In that instant, miraculously, the azure shadow crumbled under the push of the gale. However, as it shattered, all around the area, the blue crystalline radiance suspended in midair, resembling willow catkins, suddenly dimmed. But immediately after, it blazed forth in brilliant azure light. Within 1,000-foot radius of the valley, all the blue crystalline radiance shone fiercely. Beams of blue light flickered out from each floating blue glimmer, intertwining with one another. All of this transpired almost in tandem with the shattering of the azure shadow, its transformation so swift that it left no room for reaction. Even at the spear's incredible speed, it only managed to shoot forward a few feet. Yet, at that moment, a turn of events arose in Wang Lin's retreating gaze, which noticed everything in what felt like the blink of an eye. Despite his mind actively engaging in deductions that were nearing completion, on the brink of resolving the restriction combinations, his eyes remained fixed on the formation. At that moment, in his perspective, the formation within 1,000 feet had completely enveloped in dense azure light, transforming the valley into a massive azure net. Wang Lin's own form was ensnared within this net. Countless azure beams twinkled, and at that instant, an unfathomable number of them blinked wildly, in unison. With a flash, the restriction chi spear let out a bang as it split in two. Though the spear was destroyed, Wang Lin showed no signs of regret. This spear was merely an illusion conjured from restrictions, and he understood that it couldn't break the formation unless the opponent had zero protection, leaving the formation out in the open for the spear's strongest attack. Wang Lin had thrown this spear as part of his true intent. His deductions were closing in, ready to unravel the structure of the formation. With the restriction chi spear destroyed, the azure cage remained encircling him, yet his expression remained unchanged, devoid of any fluctuation. Within Wang Lin's mind, the process of deduction steadily progressed. Within the valley, Ouyang Hua's cold laughter echoed. Outsider, how does our clan's formation fare? It's not too late to leave now, but if you sever an arm and a leg and offer your essence spirit for me to absorb 3 times, I will let you go. Wang Lin looked up, gazing at the valley. Suddenly, strange runic shadows flickered in his eyes, and these shadows began to rapidly coalesce within his vision. The 83rd. This is already the limit. Breaking through this formation should be enough. At the final moment, Wang Lin's reasoning in his mind came to a conclusion. At that instant, his eyes gleamed like the light of the 9 netherworld, making anyone who gazed into them tremble inside. Wang Lin stared coldly at the valley and spoke icily, "Audacious fool, how dare you speak such wild words?" From within the valley, Ouyanghua's wild laughter echoed. "Then let me show you who the real audacious one is. Qingying, execute the killing penalty." As soon as the words were spoken, a vast azure light net within 1,000 feet began to rapidly contract towards the valley. Its speed was so fast it was beyond imagination, almost closing in on Wang Lin in the blink of an eye, mere dozens of feet away. In the blink of an eye, everything was done, just a flash of green light, and the net had already completed its work. "Outsider, you will become the second demon shadow in Luo family valley." Ouyanghua's voice from the valley was filled with a cruel, bloodthirsty tone. Wang Lin's body remained still, but his eyes flickered with strange runes at that moment, and a series of eerie glows flashed as the runes moved within his eyes. Almost simultaneously, mysterious runes shot out from Wang Lin's eyes, racing in all directions and imprinting themselves on the surrounding space. The first rune, glowing with eerie light, flashed out of Wang Lin's eyes and disappeared into the void, creating invisible ripples that vanished in the blink of an eye. In the distance, the azure light net, which was madly closing in, left devastation in its wake. All living beings it passed by withered instantly, as if the green light could devour everything. As it neared the center and the range continued to shrink, the aura emanating from it became more and more intense. Finally, the green light seemed to flicker and was within 3 paces of Wang Lin. But just at that moment, the first complete restriction rune in Wang Lin's eyes flashed and merged into the void, turning into waves. These waves spread out and collided with the oncoming azure net, which had been relentlessly closing in. There was no loud noise, but the azure net immediately emanated a hissing sound, and its killing force was momentarily halted. Wang Lin's gaze flashed again, and this time, 10 complete restriction runes appeared, merging into the void and dispersing into ripples that echoed in all directions. After the brief pause in the net's closing, the hissing sound intensified, and cracks like fissures suddenly appeared on the azure net, rapidly spreading through the net with a loud cracking sound. 30 restriction combinations. Wang Lin's eyes flashed once more, and 30 restriction combinations surged out from his eyes, merging into the void. The azure net, now only a few paces away, instantly collapsed, turning into countless pieces of blue crystal light, like a sky full of stars, dazzling the world. Wang Lin remained calm, looking towards the valley. At the same time, the bizarre runes continued flashing in his eyes. This time, over 40 complete restriction combinations emerged, flashing one by one. Wang Lin extended his right hand and pointed forward in the void. His eyes gleamed coldly, and the flashing restriction combinations immediately darted toward the valley. In the void, these complete restriction combinations merged into the void and turned into waves. These 83 sets of restriction combinations were the specific combinations Wang Lin had devised to break the formation after long observation. At that instant, a vast amount of azure light surged across the entire valley, most of which poured out from the valley itself. However, as soon as the azure light appeared, countless restriction runes flashed and disappeared in the green light. Each time a rune flashed by, large amounts of azure light rapidly dimmed and disappeared without a sound. Wang Lin's gaze was like lightning as he stepped forward, one step at a time, towards the valley. As his steps moved forward, even more azure light roared out from the valley. These lights gathered together to form a massive azure light column, several yards wide, crashing towards Wang Lin, who was steadily advancing. Wang Lin's expression remained unchanged, his steps not halting for a moment, as he took a single step forward. The azure light column collided with him, but when it was 10 paces away from Wang Lin, a series of restriction runes surged out between him and the column. The azure light column instantly dimmed, and the front of it collapsed in a large area. Wang Lin's steps never faltered as he kept moving forward, as if following the laws of nature, step by step. As Wang Lin advanced, the blocking azure light column began to retreat, continually collapsing in the process. As Wang Lin was only 10 steps away from the valley, the azure light completely collapsed. At the same time, the entire valley suddenly trembled. It was as if a protective force on the valley was dissipating at an astonishing speed. Celestial being, show mercy, show mercy. Ouyanghuo knows his mistake. A voice immediately echoed from within the valley. Following the words, Ouyang Hua led a group of over a dozen people out of the valley. Among them, although their ages varied, they were all men, and most had green liquid smeared on their bodies. After Ouyang Hua appeared, he glanced at Wang Lin, who was just 10 steps away. A flash of complexity passed through his eyes, and then he sighed quietly. With great respect, he bowed and spoke in a tone of submission. I did not know you were a celestial being. For everything that has happened, I am willing to take full responsibility. Please, celestial being, consider the benevolence of heaven. Do not destroy the formation, or all of our people will be exposed to the demon spirits, becoming their prey. The group of over a dozen people behind Ouyang Hua all looked toward Wang Lin, their faces betraying a hint of fear. Wang Lin swept his gaze over the group and raised his right hand, making a gesture in the air. Immediately, ripples spread through the void, distorting like a twisted canvas that appeared between heaven and earth before slowly fading away. With the disappearance of the ripples, the formation outside the valley began to recover. The protective force's rate of dissipation slowed down significantly, eventually coming to a halt. Ouyang Hua finally exhaled in relief. His gaze toward Wang Lin was filled with a mix of complexity and respect. Celestial being, it is getting late. I fear the night of demon spirits will soon arrive. Please enter the valley and speak with us, Ouyang Hua hastily said. He then bit the tip of his right finger, squeezed out a drop of fresh blood, and waved it. The blood immediately landed on the cliffside of the valley. At that moment, the entire valley seemed to awaken like a giant coming out of slumber. A rumbling sound echoed from deep within, and as it grew louder, the cliffs on both sides of the valley began to warp and twist like a painting before suddenly being torn apart as if cut by a pair of scissors. A straight path suddenly extended from the valley, passing through Ouyang Hua and the others, all the way to Wang Lin's feet. Celestial being, please, Ouyang Hua said respectfully. Wang Lin didn't waste time. There was much he needed to understand here. Without another word, he lifted his foot and stepped forward. Inside the valley, there was a sudden sense of clarity. It resembled a bustling market in a cultivation town, filled with countless simple dwellings. However, there were no cultivators selling items like jade slips or magical artifacts, unlike a typical market. The valley's environment was quite elegant, with many trees. Although the sun was setting, the area remained shaded by greenery. Through the windows of several dwellings, Wang Lin immediately noticed a few people hiding inside. Almost every dwelling contained people, and they were all women and children. Their clothing was different from the men's, covering their bodies instead of leaving them mostly exposed. As for the children, some peeked outside through windows and cracks in the door, gazing out with innocent curiosity, their eyes clear and untainted. When Wang Lin saw this, he paused. Everything before him was so different from what he had imagined. He frowned. Though he didn't distinguish between good and evil and followed his heart, at this moment, he couldn't help but sigh in shame. With his cultivation at the mid-infant metamorphosis stage, he had painstakingly broken through the formation, but he never expected that this place was actually a village. Everyone here, except for the elder named Ouyang Hua, were all mere mortals. Wang Lin's divine sense swept across the valley. When Ouyang Hua and the other villagers saw Wang Lin suddenly stop and furrow his brow, they immediately trembled, some even biting their lips and clenching their fists. In their minds, this was their home, and they were willing to give up everything, even their lives, for it. Ouyang Hua quickly stepped forward, standing behind Wang Lin. With a bitter expression, he said, Celestial being, you. Wang Lin turned around, his gaze sweeping over the people behind Ouyang Hua. With his sharp mind, he immediately understood their thoughts. After a brief moment of silence, Wang Lin cupped his hands toward the villagers and spoke softly. I, Wang, have disturbed you, so I will not enter the valley. He then paused for a moment, took out a storage pouch, and with a wave of his hand, 3 jade vials appeared and floated toward the ground. These vials contained several dozen pills that can help solidify one's foundation and cultivate one's essence. As compensation for my disturbance, Wang Lin said with a sigh, shaking his head as he turned and walked toward the valley's exit. Ouyang Hua's gaze sparkled with an intensity he had never shown before. His eyes were fixed on the jade vials, and he stepped forward, grabbing one and opening it. He took a deep sniff, and his expression shifted subtly. Without a word, he tucked it into his robe. Turning around, he spoke a few sentences in another language to the people behind him. They nodded in response, with some even offering warm smiles to Wang Lin, cupping their fists in respect. Once Ouyang Hua finished speaking, The group of dozens of people scattered, returning to their respective homes. Soon, the sounds of bustling life began to fill the air. Children ran out of the houses, laughing and playing, while women, who had been hidden inside, also stepped out. In the blink of an eye, the valley, once serene and empty, was now alive with energy. "Celestial being, please wait," Ouyang called out, stepping forward. His tone was earnest. "Tonight is the night of the demon spirits. If you wander alone outside, no matter how powerful your magic, you will not stand a chance against the overwhelming number of demon spirits. It would be wise to stay here. If you truly wish to leave, you can depart tomorrow." This was the second time Wang Lin had heard Ouyang mention the night of the demon spirits. He paused and turned to look at him. "What is the night of the demon spirits?" "Celestial being, I will explain everything in detail. Perhaps we can speak in my humble abode," Ouyang quickly suggested. Wang Lin hesitated for a moment and then nodded. Ouyang residence was at the northernmost edge of the valley. Within a 10-zhang radius, there were no other buildings, making this location feel unusual. The house was round, almost like a steamed bun pressed onto the ground, with a large greenish hue covering most of it. Inside, the space was modest, containing a wooden bed, a table, and chairs, with some miscellaneous items scattered around. On one of the walls, there was a painting in a subtle corner. Wang Lin stood silently, his gaze fixed on the painting. The painting was yellowed with age, its corners torn, and the whole piece slightly wrinkled, indicating its long history. It depicted a middle-aged man around 40, dressed in strange Taoist robes, looking into the distance as if deep in thought. His right hand rested casually on his chest, making an unusual hand gesture. At the other end of the painting, where the man was gazing, the sky was filled with black mist, within which something seemed to be faintly visible. However, the painting was so old that it was difficult to make out any details about what the mist concealed. Ouyang stood respectfully to the side, occasionally glancing at the painting, his eyes filled with a trace of longing. "When did the formation outside the valley come into existence?" Wang Lin asked, still focused on the painting. After a long pause, he spoke in a low voice. "This formation has existed for an incredibly long time. No one remembers its origin. Since I have memories, I have only heard that many years ago, a man named Huang Long led my ancestors and clanspeople here to settle. It is said that the formation was already here when they arrived, existing for countless ages." Ouyang responded slowly after a brief silence. "And this man?" Wang Lin's gaze remained fixed on the painting. "Yes, he is immortal Huang Long." Ouyang eyes filled with deep admiration. "Huang Long, truly called Huang Long." Wang Lin's eyes gleamed with a strange light. After a long while, he sighed lightly and rubbed his brow with his right hand. "Huang Long, what is the meaning of all this?" Wang Lin seemed to forget about Ouyang standing beside him. His focus remained solely on the painting. The man in the painting had a dignified appearance, with an aura of immortality and Taoist wisdom, radiating an unmistakable celestial energy. Anyone who saw this figure would likely believe him to be an immortal. Huang Long. A hint of confusion crossed Wang Lin's face, a rare expression for him. Wang Lin's mind was usually as firm as steel, but the moment he laid eyes on the painting when he entered this place, his essence spirit had trembled. "How do you know his name is Huang Long?" Wang Lin asked after a long silence. This question left Ouyang somewhat perplexed. After hesitating for a moment, he cautiously replied, "Could it be that you know immortal Huang Long?" Wang Lin frowned. Ouyang quickly added, "Everything I know was passed down orally from my ancestors. The name immortal Huang Long is the same as what has been passed down." Wang Lin remained silent. Staring at the painting, a trace of nostalgia surfaced in his eyes. His mind seemed to pierce through the East Sea demon spirits, through the starry skies and drifting clouds, all the way to his homeland, the Vermilion Bird Star. His thoughts reached back across centuries, to the memory of a young boy, mocked by his entire clan, who had left a mountain village but was never chosen by any immortal. That boy, after many twists of fate, had entered a sect known as the Hengyue sect. Huang Long of the Hengyue sect is merely at the foundation establishment stage. Though he looks identical to the figure in the painting, they are not the same person, Wang Lin murmured after a brief pause. But the same appearance, the same name, there's something strange here, something demonic. No wonder this place is called the East Sea Demon Spirit Land. The word demon truly fits. Wang Lin's gaze moved toward the thick black mist in the corner of the painting. That black mist in the painting represents the night of demon spirits. Every full moon during the night of demon spirits, one can only remain safe within the formation, Yanghua said respectfully from the side. What exactly happens during this night of demon spirits? Wang Lin's gaze sharpened. This land belongs to the demon spirits. Naturally, there is a day when they hunt, and that day falls on the full moon, Yanghua explained, glancing out the window toward the sky beyond the valley. Dusk had passed, and darkness was steadily falling. Tonight is the full moon. When the time comes, celestial being, you'll witness the demon spirits hunt. Yanghua withdrew his gaze. Wang Lin remained calm, his expression unchanged. After a brief silence, he asked, "Earlier you mentioned ancient demon city and the item I need. What exactly were you referring to?" Yanghua hesitated for a moment before biting the bullet. "Since the celestial being asks, I shall not hide it. The land of demon spirits is vast. According to legend, the world is divided into 9 provinces. Where we stand now is within the heavenly demon province. In my lifetime, the farthest I've traveled was ancient demon city, one of the cities within the heavenly demon province. Strictly speaking, this location falls under the heavenly demon province, but it's considered a desolate wilderness. After I was enlightened in ancient demon city, my demon power only reached the 1st star rank, which wasn't enough to gain the right to settle there. So, I returned to this mountain valley tribe and became an elder, responsible for guiding the clan. In the heavenly demon province, there is the demon emperor Kuan Su. Beneath him are the 8 demon commanders and millions of demon soldiers. With over 100 cities, such as the power required to rule a province. As for the item you seek, it's a long story. You must know, every 5,000 years, outsiders enter this land of demon spirits through the void. This is common knowledge among the inhabitants here. Every time outsiders arrive, it brings a storm of bloodshed. These outsiders often join different provinces, gaining positions through battle merits. The higher the merits, the greater the status. It's even said that one of the 8 demon commanders of the heavenly demon province is actually an outsider who arrived countless years ago and never left. Once outsiders enter, they undergo strange changes. They frequently slaughter one another, as if killing each other brings some kind of benefit. I don't fully understand this myself. Since you're one of the outsiders, celestial being, surely you know more than I do. Yanghua spoke with utmost respect. Wang Lin frowned slightly. He seemed to sense something, though he couldn't yet confirm it. After a moment of contemplation, he said calmly, "You still haven't answered me. What exactly is the item I need?" Yanghua stiffened, remaining silent. Wang Lin waited quietly, his gaze still fixed on the painting. After a while, Yanghua sighed and said, "Celestial being, to be honest, the item you seek is indeed here. But its role is far too important. I truly cannot give it to you. If you take it by force, everyone in this valley will die, one by one, in the days to come." Wang Lin's eyes narrowed. For the first time, he looked away from the painting and turned toward Yanghua. Meeting Wang Lin's gaze, Yanghua eventually lowered his head. But then, as if making a decision, he suddenly looked up again and said, "However, if the celestial being still possesses more of that pill from earlier, then I would have no problem offering you the item you need." Wang Lin brushed his hand over the storage pouch at his waist. Dozens of jade vials immediately flew out, transforming into streaks of white light. They circled in the air before returning neatly to the pouch. Yanghua's eyes followed the vials intently. Only when they vanished back into the storage pouch did he slowly look away. Swallowing hard, he took a deep breath and said, "Pills from you outsiders are treasured in the land of demon spirits. We have neither the ingredients nor the techniques to refine them here. Celestial being, please follow me. I'll take you to see the item you need." Yanghua seemed to have made up his mind. With a respectful clasp of his fists, he turned and led the way ahead. Wang Lin didn't say a word and followed behind, walking at a leisurely pace as he left the building. Although it was getting dark in the valley, bonfires had been lit. In the flickering light, the residents of the valley sat around the fire, chatting with each other, occasionally bursting into hearty laughter. As for the women, they sat next to their men, holding their children in their arms, smiling contentedly as they listened to the men's conversations. The entire valley was filled with a peaceful and tranquil atmosphere. This atmosphere had a warm, comforting feeling that spread throughout. As soon as Wang Lin and Yanghua appeared, the villagers by the bonfire immediately fell silent, plunging into a quiet stillness. That warm feeling quickly vanished as Wang Lin felt the tension in the air. The women hugged their children tightly and nervously looked at Wang Lin. However, not all the villagers showed signs of wariness. Some looked at Wang Lin with gratitude in their eyes. Yanghua kept walking, passing through the bonfire area and heading deeper into the valley. Wang Lin followed at a steady pace, and as they passed the fire, the nearby villagers quickly made way for them. One woman, trying to avoid the crowd, had her child trip and fall. Her face turned pale, and she tried to pick up the child, but Wang Lin was already approaching. The child, however, stood up on its own, unfazed by the mother's anxious gaze, and instead curiously watched Wang Lin. As Wang Lin passed by the child, he paused for a moment, glanced down at the child. The child had a round, chubby face, and something about it reminded Wang Lin of Denyo when he was young. A slight smile appeared on Wang Lin's face as he patted the child's head with his right hand before walking on. After Wang Lin left, the mother rushed forward to scoop up her child, retreating quickly. A reprimanding voice came from a distance. It wasn't until Wang Lin had gone far that the warm atmosphere around the bonfire began to slowly return. Yanghua led Wang Lin to the deepest part of the valley, which was shaped like a gourd, with the opening of the gourd being the valley entrance. At this moment, Yanghua stood at the bottom of the gourd. The area had few trees, and the ground was covered with various unknown grasses. Stepping on them, a gentle force was transmitted from beneath his feet. Celestial being, please take a look. Yanghua paused and pointed ahead with his right hand. Wang Lin's divine sense swept across, and it immediately focused on a spot on the deep cliff wall. The color of the cliff was a deep blue-green, which stood out sharply from the surrounding cliffs. But what really caught Wang Lin's attention was a white, crystal-like object embedded in the center of the cliff. It was diamond-shaped and quietly embedded in the rock face. A trace of contemplation flashed in Wang Lin's eyes. He had swept over this area with his divine sense before but hadn't paid much attention. Now, as he stood close and observed with his eyes, he noticed something unusual. There was a faint aura of immortal power emanating from the white crystal. However, as Wang Lin observed more closely, he began to feel something strange. This isn't immortal power. Wang Lin's eyes flickered with a strange gleam. He took a few steps forward, extending his right index finger and lightly sensing the white crystal with his mind. His essence spirit extended through his fingertip, feeling the aura on the crystal. After a moment, Wang Lin's expression subtly changed, and he withdrew his hand, falling into deep thought. Yanghua spoke softly from the side. Celestial being, this item, according to my ancestors' oral history, is something that outsiders like you must possess. You call it the immortal power crystal, but here, we call it demon spirit jade. The function of demon spirit jade is to aid in healing when our people are injured. This is why I mentioned earlier that if this were given to you, your people would perish one by one. However, the grade of this demon spirit jade is not very high, and its healing effects are not as good as your elixirs. Personally, I prefer the latter. Wang Lin remained silent, raising his right hand again. He reached out into the air, and immediately, a rumbling sound came from the cliff ahead. At first, the sound was faint, but it quickly grew louder, like rolling thunder, echoing through the valley. The tremor spread, shaking the surrounding cliffs as if a dragon was stirring beneath the earth. Wang Lin's gaze flickered, and with a fierce grab of his right hand, the white crystal embedded in the cliff was suddenly wrenched free, breaking away with several cracking sounds. It turned into a streak of white light and landed directly in Wang Lin's hand. The moment Wang Lin touched the white crystal, he immediately sensed a cold aura surging out from the crystal, flowing into his body through his right hand. This white aura didn't follow the meridians but instead clung to his bones, swiftly traveling through his body. After circulating rapidly for a while, it slowly gathered in his dantian and formed a tiny crystal the size of a grain of rice. White mist swirled around the crystal, resembling a nebula. At first glance, this white aura seemed like immortal power, but in reality, it was the complete opposite. Immortal power was gentle, whereas this aura exuded an eerie, demonic essence, blending softness with a strong, otherworldly strangeness. After absorbing this demonic energy, Wang Lin felt a drastic and unmistakable change throughout his body. Yanghua, who witnessed the transformation, was struck with shock. He gasped, instinctively taking a few steps back, muttering to himself, "It is said that when outsiders first absorb demonic energy, their bodies undergo a change in demonic aura. It seems this is indeed true." The crystallized demonic energy within Wang Lin's body released a feeling of extreme comfort, one that was deeply intoxicating. Wang Lin's gaze tightened, and the demonic fire in his eyes disappeared without a trace. The demonic aura surrounding his body vanished instantly, and he returned to normal. This demonic energy, which is similar to immortal power, has an eerie quality. After absorbing it, it seems to form a distinct energy. There is a faint sense that this aura could possibly merge with immortal power, enhancing one's cultivation. However, the current amount of demonic energy is too small to attempt any fusion. Wang Lin pondered for a moment, then reached for his storage pouch. In an instant, over a dozen jade vials flew out, and with a flick of his sleeve, they landed at Ouyang Hua's feet. Ouyang Hua's spirit was lifted. He quickly opened each vial to inspect, and then placed them into his clothes, his heart filled with excitement. Leave now. I wish to meditate here. I will depart at dawn. Wang Lin said calmly, then ignored Ouyang Hua, sitting cross-legged on the ground, closing his eyes to observe the demonic energy crystal within his dantian. Ouyang Hua quickly acknowledged, respectfully bowing, and then retreated at a distance. Soon, the area fell silent, but the distant sounds of laughter and joy could still be heard around the campfire. Wang Lin, deeply immersed in his dantian, carefully felt the demonic energy crystal. If there were more of these crystals, even if they couldn't be fused, they would still possess great power. Thousands of people have entered this East Sea demon spirit land, and their objective is likely to obtain these demonic energy crystals. The conflicts between them are nothing more than battles for the crystals within each other's bodies. What I don't know is whether these crystals have other functions. It seems that these demonic energy crystals hold a far greater significance. Otherwise, there would not have been the bloodshed and chaos spoken of by Ouyang Hua. There are surely secrets hidden here that I am unaware of. Only by uncovering these secrets can I decide my next steps. 500 years. 500 years may seem long or short, but if absorbing this demonic energy can boost cultivation, then I should embrace it fully, much like I did in the demonic sea when I slaughtered without restraint. A cold gleam flashed in Wang Lin's eyes as he licked his lips. Time passed slowly, and late at night, the sky was pitch black. The campfire in the valley still burned, but the residents had all returned to their homes to rest. Only the women and children remained behind, while the men gradually left their homes, each holding various weapons, gathering at the entrance of the valley. Ouyang Hua was among them, his expression solemn as he gazed towards the outside of the valley. After a while, he glanced back toward the bottom of the gourd valley in the distance, where Wang Lin was meditating. I hope this formation can withstand the demon spirits. Perhaps the celestial being can intervene to help. Ouyang Hua sighed inwardly. The reason he changed his mind and invited Wang Lin into the valley wasn't just because he couldn't resist the demon spirits. More importantly, he was uncertain whether the formation could hold off the demon spirits' hunt tonight after it had been weakened. So, with gritted teeth, he insisted on keeping Wang Lin in the valley and even disclosed many hidden matters, eventually giving Wang Lin the only demonic energy crystal in the valley. Ouyang Hua's actions were all purposeful. His goal was to ensure that, in the time of crisis, Wang Lin would lend a helping hand. He glanced at the residents of the valley, took a deep breath, and spoke in a deep voice. Tonight is the night of the demon spirit's hunt. I won't say much about what needs to be done. Just make it through the night, and all will be well. As Wang Lin meditated, his eyes suddenly opened. He looked up at the sky. Although it was still pitch black, something seemed different to him. In that darkness, there was a faint purple glow. Various waves of demonic energy, each varying in strength, filled the sky, like waves rolling in from the horizon. The valley was not its destination, but merely a place it passed through. Gazing at the sky, a flash of determination crossed Wang Lin's eyes. Without hesitation, he pointed his right hand to the center of his forehead. Instantly, a wisp of his essence spirit transformed into divine sense, detaching from his body and passing through the valley's formation, appearing in the sky above. The divine sense, formed from his essence spirit, did not pause. Like azure smoke, it flashed through the air, heading straight for the demonic aura that surged forward, like an angry tide rolling in from the distance. The closer it got, the stronger the sense of demonic power became. The demonic force, like a furious wave, was so vast that it seemed to have no end in sight. Along the way, any area covered by this demonic energy immediately became lifeless. Even the local beasts, upon being overwhelmed by the demonic aura, let out agonized cries before turning into white bones. Witnessing this scene, Wang Lin's brow furrowed slightly. At this moment, if one were to observe from above, looking down at the East Sea demon spirit land, it would be clear to see a purple wave of energy expanding in a circular pattern from a central point, spreading outward. This phenomenon was enormous, with the entire demon spirit land as its reference point. Wang Lin's essence spirit, in the form of divine sense, immediately investigated and quickly withdrew. But just as he was about to pull back, his essence spirit suddenly paused, his divine sense exploding outward as it broke through the demonic energy wave and descended deeper inside. There, within the depths of the demonic energy wave, beyond the swirling purple mist, stood a person. The man was dressed in black, with a cold expression and slightly thin lips. He had a sharp, harsh aura about him. At this moment, he held a black rapier, and as he swung it, purple energy spiraled around the blade. At the same time, large amounts of demonic power were being frantically absorbed by the man. The moment Wang Lin's divine sense scanned him, the man slowly looked up. His eyes met Wang Lin's, and a cold smile appeared at the corner of his lips. Not bad. Your cultivation is impressive if you can detect my presence. I was planning to give you a surprise. The black-clad man pointed his rapier into the air, speaking slowly. Encountering me. Let's just say you're unlucky. Even if you hand over your demon crystals, it won't matter. You are my prey. Wang Lin's divine sense shot a cold glance at the man, and without saying another word, he immediately retreated. The black-clad man didn't try to stop him, merely smiling in disdain. Mid-infant metamorphosis. No matter which sect you belong to today, you will undoubtedly die. With your demon crystals, I should just about have enough to qualify for entry into the celestial demon city. The man's eyes flashed with a hint of fanaticism. Inside the valley, with his divine sense withdrawn, Wang Lin's eyes glinted with coldness. He is the first heavenly destiny star cultivator I've encountered here, at the peak of the late infant metamorphosis stage. But if he wants to kill me, it won't be that easy. Outside the valley, the demonic energy wave howled in, like a furious tide, crashing against the valley. In that instant, the valley's formation activated, flickering with azure light, just barely withstanding the impact of the demonic energy. However, the force of the demonic energy wave was not a temporary surge. It continued relentlessly, and gradually, the formation's azure glow flickered more rapidly, showing signs of nearing its breaking point. Inside the valley, though still quiet, a tense atmosphere settled in. At the valley's entrance, all the adult male villagers gripped their weapons tightly, their palms sweating. Their eyes were fixed on the valley entrance, their breathing growing heavier. Oyanghua stood at the front of the group. He raised both hands, and a series of complex incantations left his lips, maintaining the operation of the formation. The Night of Demon Spirits came every 3 months, and Oyanghua was confident in the formation. But today, he felt uneasy. Wang Lin had weakened the formation's power by more than half. He was unsure whether it would be enough to withstand the demonic energy wave. Once the formation was broken, all the beings in the valley would be devoured alive by the demonic spirits hidden within the energy. At this moment, as the waves of demonic power crashed in, the valley's formation could barely hold on, and cracks were appearing in the light with a series of sharp sounds. Suddenly, a deafening roar echoed across the valley, as if a heavy object had struck the formation. The formation trembled violently, and more cracks appeared. Inside the valley, the violent crashes shook everything. The women and children in the houses were immediately startled awake. Far in the distance outside the valley, within the demonic energy wave, the black-clad man swung his sword, and immediately, blood splattered as a bizarre beast, pitch black with a single horn and about 10 feet in size, materialized from the surrounding demonic energy. As soon as it appeared, the black-clad man slashed it in two. After the kill, the black-clad man inhaled deeply, and a surge of demonic power poured out from the beast's body, entering his 7 orifices. A wave of extreme comfort immediately surged through his body. After a brief moment, his eyes flashed, locking onto the distant valley. A cruel smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. With a flick of his sword, it instantly transformed into a streak of lightning, heading straight for the valley in the distance. The young man in black moved his body, and in an instant, he seemed to float like willow catkins. With a swift motion, he appeared on top of the lightning-fast flying sword, heading toward the valley. Inside the valley, Wang Lin stood up. Taking a step forward, he instantly transformed into a streak of azure smoke and appeared beside Oyanghua and the others at the valley entrance. His appearance was silent and invisible, immediately causing the surrounding valley residents to change their expressions. They instinctively scattered in all directions. Oyanghua's face lit up with joy as he hurriedly spoke, "Celestial being, save us." No sooner had he spoken than a lightning-fast flying sword howled from outside the valley. A cold voice rang out from the black-clad man. "Hunting, begin."